Okay, now let's learn how to throw the rear hook. The rear hook or the backhanded hook, pretty uncomfortable for a lot of people. The mechanics are a little bit different to the lead hook, but in the same way that a jab has different mechanics to a cross. They're the same punch, but the mechanics on using your rear hand and generating power off your rear hand are a little bit different to generating power off your lead hand. So as we learned with the rear hook, no, as we're about to learn with the rear hook, as we learnt with the lead hook, most of the power comes from the body, and rotating correctly with our body is going to generate torque. We don't want to be arm punching. So let me show you. Yeah. Bing. And again. Third angle. So the way I'm going to teach you the rear hook is similar to how I taught you the lead hook. And that's, we're going to dip into the opposite direction before we even start rotating, right? So we're kind of loading up the punch. We'll exaggerate it when we train so that in real life scenario or train scenario or sparring scenario, it's way more nuanced application of the concept, or nuanced or a minor version of the concept. So we're going to learn a big dip. So here I am in my boxing stance. I'm in my shape. We're going to load lead shoulder. Rear foot is going to spring or take some load. We're going to bend that rear foot and let our lead foot turn in. So lead hip turns, back foot takes load, lead shoulder rotates in. Bang, bang. It's kind of like a slip, a concept that we're going to cover in module 2. So let's get rid of the arms now. Bang, here's me loading to my rear side. And you can see if my hip's turning in, I've got potential energy in this rear foot, and this has far more, my rear shoulder has more room to rotate through. Bang. So for now, I would just be feeling this idea out, feeling the shoulders rotate through space, feeling the hips rotate through space. Look at the nuances, look at my feet. See how my rear foot turns through? That's telling me my hip's getting through. Yeah? Just like a cross. Same principle. Let's bring the punch in on top of that now. So, same mechanics as the lead hook. We want our wrist, knuckle, shoulder, elbow and shoulder to sort of be stacked as one movement. And we don't show the punch until we've already started rotating. Right? Chin down, dip, punch through. Once we punch through, this is probably the end of my rotation. I need a recoil, bang, back to my good shape, good stance. Now, while I'm exaggerating the movement, I'm probably going 70, 80 onto the rear foot here, and then 70, 30 onto the lead foot, and then 60, 40 back to my good shape and sound position. The rear hook, it's a powerful punch. What are some mistakes? Now, like the rear hand, the big mistake, well, like all rear hand punches, the big mistake is over-rotating while punching through and ending up too heavy or jammed up onto your lead foot. So what does that look like? Yeah, I'm all the way over here. I'm like 90-10. And this becomes predictable behavior, but it stops me from being able to do a lot of things. Right? Like I can't use this hand again because I can't generate any torque through it. I would have to return all the way. And if I'm stuck here, yeah, I can use my lead hand, but now I'm falling even further off. We're just not in a sound position to box. We've overcommitted and we've become too heavy on our lead foot, exposing ourselves to way too much danger and limited boxing. So again, what does it look like to over-rotate the hook? I've gone way over. Nothing on my rear foot and I'm jammed onto my lead. Okay? So that's a big common mistake with the rear hook. Again, when we throw that rear hook, I really want to see it stacked like you're cutting your opponent with your elbow. And knuckle positioning is pretty much the same as the lead hook. We're going to meet them like this, right? So dip, hook, return. feel the ground. And again, good shape, dip, boom, boom. Hook mistakes, more hook mistakes. So the big one with the rear hand hook is over rotating and jamming up into that side. Just like the lead hands, in order or in an attempt to generate more shoulder rotation, a lot of the time we can end up pulling our lead hand down to think we're generating more rotational force across the shoulders. Yeah? Chin for days, hands down here, it's not protecting me anymore. So that's a big mistake. So thinking by pulling down to generate more shoulder rotation, we're generating more power. Probably not. You're probably just exposing yourself to more danger. You're definitely exposing yourself to more danger. So keep that hand on your chin. Bing, bang, bong. Return. Yeah? So there's your hook. Don't overcommit to it. Load up into the rear foot. Rip the rear hip through. Reset. Same as the lead hook, you have this defensive responsibility when you're being offensive with your punches. What do I mean by that? It's that line of shoulder defense that has to come into play as well. So even though there's not a hand on my rear hand isn't on my chin when I'm at that point of throwing my punch, my shoulder becomes my new line of defense, right? Huh, huh, bang, shoulders line of defense, and then it returns straight back to the chin, yeah? Bang, bang, here it is, return to chin. So they're probably the big things with the rear hook. A rear hook's a bit different to an overhand. Again, there's heaps of variations of the rear hook. Module 2 will address that. We're just going over the basics of the punches. Now I think that covers it. I think that covers it. Yeah, let's say that covers it. The rear hook.